So I've been flying drones now for a couple of years. Started off with a DJI Phantom 2. Fantastic drone, really good and really easy to fly. But the biggest downside to it was that every time I flew the drone, I had to attach my GoPro to it, and these tiny little screws that you have to add on to it just to put it all together. And it was incredibly fiddly, and you have to have a specific Allen key, obviously, just a nightmare. But every time I flew it and it worked, it was just phenomenal. I mean, the picture that comes out from the GoPros is just incredibly good, and I had barrels of fun doing it. The downside to the drone itself was that the video feed that comes from the GoPro back to the monitor that I'd had to buy was a little bit temperamental, and so it wasn't the greatest picture, and sometimes it didn't work at all. And when you're on location, you're trying to get something and you've hiked to a particular place to get a particular shot, it can be really frustrating. But aside from that, it was fantastic. So by this point, DJI had brought out the Phantom 4. So I invested heavily into a DJI Phantom 4 Pro Plus. I wanted the integrated monitor, which is the most important thing to me. I didn't want to be adding and taking things off and try and get things to work. And when I first got it, it was just such a pleasure. The picture quality on the monitor was just incredible, and it was just an ease to fly. Had all the best bits of the Phantom 2 and then a whole load more. Absolutely fantastic. Then went to Italy and travelled with it to Italy, got to a particular location up on a mountain, went to take off, and the controller started beeping. And I had got no idea what this beeping was all about. And it took me probably 15 minutes of trying to get internet connection on my phone to try and work out what this noise was. And it turned out that I needed to recalibrate the controller itself. Why? I had no idea, but in the end I worked out how to recalibrate the controller and got the drone up in the air and got flying around and actually got the shots I wanted to, so I was mightily relieved. But then I found that every single time I went to start the drone, the controller needed calibrating and recalibrating again. I thought, what is going on? I looked online for different solutions, different fixes, and nothing was really standing out. So I sent it off to RC Geeks, which is a local company to me in Crawley, and they had a quick look at it and they said, nope, it's absolutely fine. And it didn't happen to them when they powered it up. I also noticed around this time that there was a few firmware updates needed, and I thought, I haven't got time to do this right now. Things seem to be working okay. But at Christmas time I had a little bit of time spare, so I powered it all up, plugged it into the computer and did 2 hours worth of firmware updates. Packed it all away, thought fantastic, we're all good. The next thing, I was on location and I thought, oh, the drone would be good. So I pulled the drone out, powered it up, again, beeping away, recalibrate the actual controller. So I did that again, went to take off, no video feed. And now it's doing an update. And it's going to take another 15 minutes and the light's nearly gone. I thought, well, I can't fly around this area and risk actually crashing into something. So after half an hour trying lots of different things, I just had to give up. So I found a way of actually removing that firmware update and tried it again, still nothing. I then sent the drone back to RC Geeks again and asked them to have a look at it because I was getting so frustrated with it. And I had this shoot I had to do, and I wanted this particular drone footage that I wanted to get. RC Geeks had a quick look at the drone, and then they phoned me and said it's all fixed and it's all ready for you. And I asked what was the problem with it, and they said needed the firmware update. But that was the firmware update that I had done at Christmas time. But anyway, I paid the money, had it all done, got it back, everything was fantastic. At this point, DJI had brought out the Mavic Air, and I thought, shall I? Brought it back, this tiny drone. I was so excited. The night before I went to Wales, powered it up, did all the software updates, firmware updates, and got it all perfect. The first day we were out in Wales, we were out on this massive hike, and I'd taken the little drone with me, and I thought, this is fantastic. It fitted in my inside pocket, and I thought I could just whip it out at any point, fly it around, and get the footage that I was after. We were next to this river, and I thought this would be a really cool shot to have the drone just going over the top of the water. The weather was pretty bad. It was hailing one minute, but sunshine the next. So I bided my time and I waited, and sure enough, the weather cleared. So I pulled out the Mavic Air and put it up into the air, got a GPS setting, went to fly it down the river, and then it just seemed to go out of control. So I quickly raised it in the air. It seemed to stabilise. I brought it back to me, landed it, caught it, switched the whole thing off. I thought, what happened there? So I took off again, got the GPS setting, and then cruised up the river. Everything seemed to be good. Cruised back down the river, back past me, back down to where I wanted to stop. It went completely crazy, turned round, hit a branch, and then fell into the river. I was just aghast. Flying time, 4 minutes. So I quickly took off my shoes and my socks and rolled up my trousers and jumped into the water. The water was kind of like waist high, and I thought, this is just crazy. And this is winter. This was like -5 in the water. It was unbelievable. And I'm diving under the water, grab the Mavic Air and pull it out again. I quickly jump out onto the bank, dry myself off as best I can, put my clothes back on, and walk back towards the car, shaking the drone and thinking, what the hell happened there? When we got back to the cottage that we were staying in, dried out the drone as much as possible and put it into the boiler room to try and dry out. And amazingly enough, the next day, it almost worked. It seemed dried out, it made the noise of it starting up, and the only thing that didn't really seem to work was it didn't seem to talk to the controller, and the controller said that it was an incompatible battery. And that's where we're at. So when we got home, I've contacted RC Geeks and I've explained everything to them. I've sent them the flight logs and I've sent them the drone back, and I've just been waiting for them to actually tell me the drone's ready for pickup or what the repair or whatever the situation is. But it's been nearly 3 weeks.
Good afternoon, RC Geeks.
Hi, my name's Stuart Spicer. I dropped in a Mavic Air for repair about 3 weeks ago. I just wondered if you got any news back from DJI yet?
Bear with me 1 second, I'll have a look for you.
Thank you.
Hi Stuart, sorry to keep you waiting.
That's okay.
Apparently DJI are asking for some further information from us, which we send on to them. So we're going to look into it further. Can I take your number and we'll give you a call back?
So there you have it. DJI have had it back for 3 weeks. Hopefully I'll get an answer back tomorrow. We'll wait and see. I'm excited for the Mavic Air. I really am. I think this is going to be a fantastic drone. Maybe I went wrong somewhere. Looking at the flight logs, it looks like potentially it lost GPS at one point, although it had it when I first took off. It did come up with a fly with caution that I noticed now, but I potentially didn't notice at the time. But it's got sensors all around it. Obstacle avoidance sensors. It's got all this technology in there designed not to crash. Now I know it's not perfect. I know that you can crash it, but I'm just thinking, just give me a bit more time.